Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you this quite beautiful, in my opinion, if I might say so, beautiful Easter themed cake. It's also delicious. We have very fluffy yet moist and juicy and soft vanilla lemon cake base layers, and for the filling we're gonna use some cream cheese, but one step after the other. First thing we're doing is the cake itself. For that, you can imagine it's a mixture of like a chiffon cake and a sponge cake. So I just whisked my eggs with my sugar, some salt, some vanilla, some lemon actually, and I whisked those for around 10 minutes. Then I added the mix of oil and milk, combined those quickly, just very quickly, then added my flour and baking powder, let those whisk in for just a moment, just getting them incorporated, and then pouring everything in my baking pan, which has a diameter of around 26 centimeters, which is like the usual cake size we have here in Germany. It's the normal cake size pan is 26 centimeters. After baking, I let my cakes cool on the rack in the form completely before taking them out of the baking pan and dividing them in. At the end of the day, I had 5 layers of cake. Yeah. Now that those are ready, I'm going to take care of the first filling, which is just cream cheese, some cream, some sugar, and what I'm using, the powder you're going to see in a second, is it's called Sahnesteif, so it's the cream stabilizer, cream stiffener, which is made of modified starch as well as some sugar. If you don't have that, you could substitute probably with some custard powder. So the custard powder where you don't have to really boil the milk, and it's like a cold cream custard powder. That could probably work as well for stabilizing the filling we're doing here. Now that the filling is completely done, it's time to start layering the cake. And my first layer of the cream, I'm not adding any of the, here we go. It's called Mandarinen. I think Mandarins is also what you call it in America, I'm not sure. But it's a very delicious fruit. I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. And the one I'm using here are out of a can, which is very popular to use in baking in Germany. So I'm using those. And after I opened the can, I divided the juice from the fruit, and the juice I'm using to soak my cake layers so that it's extra moist, extra fruity, extra delicious. And so for the first layer, I just soaked my cake, then added some of the cream, which, as you can see in my bowl, I divided my cream by 5. My cream cheese frosting, I divided that by 5 so that I have an equal amount for every layer of cake I have. And then when you slice into the cake, the layers are very nice and even, and it's looking nice. And so for the first layer, I didn't add any of the fruit. Now for the second one, I'm adding fruit, and basically I'm just filling my cake one layer after the other. I'm also adding some, is it called shaved almonds? I think it's shaved, right? Those like very thin pieces of almond. I also roasted those in the oven for a few minutes so they're nice and golden and toasty and delicious and crunchy and the best they can be. Using those as well, but that's optional. I just enjoy having those in my cakes because it's a very nice almondy taste, a nice simple nutty flavor, which just enhances everything. Okay, so after filling my cake, I placed it into the fridge for a good couple of hours. I suggest you put it in the fridge overnight so everything sits nicely together and just the flavors combine, and it's nice and stable and you can easily work with it. And after cooling it completely, I'm preparing my I think then you would say frosting, right? The cream I'm putting on the outside of the cake, which is basically the same as before, but instead of using cream cheese, I'm using mascarpone to have an even more firm and stable cream to pipe onto the side of my cake, because the higher fat content in the mascarpone just allows me to pipe it more easily and making everything stay where it should be. It's a bit difficult to explain, but I'm sure you can follow where I'm going with this. So after my outside frosting, let's just call it that, the outside frosting is done, I'm taking my cake out of the fridge, I'm taking the cake pan off and completely covering my cake with the frosting itself in one thin layer, so basically a crumb coat. I think it's hard to explain because something like this just see, this is where I'm getting a bit speechless, because I'm doing this for 15 years now and it just comes so easily to me. I'm just adding the cream to the side, then on top, then scraping it off, and everything that's left over I'm adding in 2 extra bowls, because the majority of the leftover cream I want to color in pink, and then the other small portion I'm gonna color I don't know if you want to call it color, but yeah, I'm adding some cocoa powder to color it dark brown. You could also just use some edible food color if you prefer that, but I feel like if you can use a natural alternative, it's always nice to use. So I'm using the cocoa powder to color the portion brown instead of using some artificial color. There you go. Oh my gosh, this was so difficult to explain. Okay, let's continue. After applying my first crumb coat, I cooled my cake for 30 minutes or so while coloring my both rest of the creams, then covering it in the pink cream, so it's nice and pink and looks very pretty already. Then I was trying to find my is it called a grass piping tip? I didn't have one, which is surprising because I know at some point over the last 10 years I definitely ordered one, couldn't find it, so I had to improvise and use a disposable piping bag, and I poked some holes at the end of my piping bag to basically try to simulate a grass tip, which actually worked pretty good in my opinion. I was very happy with the outcome of that. I piped some frosting nests basically onto each and every piece, where later on I'm gonna add my chocolate eggs for the garnish. Here we go. For each nest I'm adding 2, but of course you could use one bigger one, like maybe the Cadbury eggs would be a perfect size for that actually, or whatever else you have. I feel like the 2 for each piece of cake was a very good fit. And now for the side garnish, I'm just using the leftover white cream I had, adding that into a piping bag with a very small French star tip at the tip, and piping some bunnies. And then for the border at the bottom, the shell border at the bottom, I just used everything of the leftover cream from all 3 of the creams I had left, the pink, the white and the brown, and there you have it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I'm getting better at the voiceover situation. Let me know what you think. I'm happy to hear from you, and I'm also very happy to see you in my next video. Bye bye.